Bobby's death was indisputably 911 Season 8's biggest moment, but there's still more to explore before the heartbreaking storyline can be truly resolved. Peter Krause's exit from 911 came after 7 years of the actor leading the ensemble as LAFD Station 118's fire captain, Bobby Nash. Alongside his team, Evan "Buck" Buckley, Oliver Stark, Eddie Diaz, Ryan Guzman, Henrietta "Hen" Wilson, Aisha Hines, Howard "Chimney" Han, Kenneth Choi, and Ravi Panikar, Anirudh Pishridi, Bobby ran point on serious and bizarre emergencies alike during 9-1's intense disasters. Beyond being a great boss, Bobby was also a father figure to many characters. Additionally, Bobby and Athena Grant, Angela Bassett, were 9-1's central love story, with the couple's entire relationship unfolding during the events of the first responder drama. Each call that the LAFD and LAPD worked on together immediately took on new depth, due to the married couple being as committed to their jobs as they were to each other. Though the 911 Season 8 finale brought some semblance of closure, Athena and Bobby's storylines have been largely intertwined since the beginning. Yet, Bobby himself is, ironically, most in need of further development in 911, even if indirectly and posthumously. Audiences are still angry about Bobby's shock death in 911 Season 8. Bobby marked the procedural's first main character death. When 9-1's evil scientist, Moira Blake, Bridget Regan, set the lab fire that trapped most of the 118 in quarantine during Contagion, it at first seemed like Chimney was the one in danger. The comedic relief character quickly started displaying symptoms of CCHF, Crimean Congo hemorrhagic fever, after the lab explosion, and the first episode in the two-part thriller left off on a cliffhanger that promised Chimney's condition would only worsen. 911 Season 8, Episode 15 turns the tables completely by curing Chimney and evacuating the 118, only for Bobby to reveal at the last second that he also contracted CCHF. Bobby's confession frustratingly left no time for action, and the main character died soon after saying one last goodbye to Athena. Initially, Bobby's death felt purely for the sake of shock value, and many believed it was an elaborate ruse that would be backpedaled on by the end of Season 8. Sadly, the fire captain's fate was sealed at the end of 911 Season 8, Episode 18, when Chimney and Maddie, Jennifer Love Hewitt, welcomed their second child and named him Bobby Nash Han, cementing the fallen fire captain as a heroic martyr figure for the procedural. The context of Bobby's backstory made killing him off particularly cruel and insensitive. Bobby's harrowing past added another upsetting layer to his death. Peter Krause looking concerned as Bobby Nash in 911 Season 8. Bobby's death was devastating, especially considering how he and Athena were optimistically planning their future in 911 Season 8. Yet, it's Bobby's past that makes his untimely demise even more difficult to accept. As a pillar of the main cast, Bobby's detailed backstory has been revealed in pieces over the years and brought unique shadows to his contemporary storylines. Undeniably, the most defining moment of Bobby's past was when his wife and 2 children died in 2014, from a fire that Bobby himself was responsible for. Although Bobby had a history of alcohol abuse, a back injury suffered on the job introduced him to prescription painkillers, leading him to develop a drug addiction that worked in tandem with his alcoholism. One night, Bobby accidentally left a space heater on in an empty apartment before a fight with his wife left him to sleep on the roof. The night proved to be Bobby's first near-death experience in 911, as the space heater caused a fire strong enough to engulf most of the apartment building and claim the lives of over 100 people, including his entire family. Bobby then moved to LA to be the 118's captain, but the festering guilt over the apartment fire consumed him. Throughout the first season of 911, Bobby had a detailed suicide plan, vowing that he would only take his life after saving 148 people, the same number that died in the fire. To Bobby, death was his fated penance. Regardless of his sobriety or heroic public service, Bobby couldn't let go of his past. It wasn't until people like Buck, Athena, Hen, and Chimney intervened that Bobby even realized death wasn't his only option to move forward and make amends. It makes his tragic death, after he had finally chosen to live, particularly cruel. Fans are also upset at Athena burying Bobby with his first wife and kids in Minnesota and telling him he was home. The divisive burial makes future storylines difficult. May, Corinne Messiah, Athena, Angela Bassett, and Harry, Elijah M. Cooper, Grant Nash at Bobby's funeral in 911 Season 8, Episode 16. Bobby's death itself callously ignored how much the character had grown since the first season, but Athena's decision to bury her husband in Minnesota only further complicated matters. Bobby never explicitly stated what he'd prefer, but burying the fallen hero over 1,000 miles away means that his family in LA, his stepchildren, his friends, his co-workers, will never be able to visit Bobby's grave or pay their respects. While, at face value, the gesture is kind, it was incredibly dismissive for 911 to call Minnesota Bobby's true home after 8 seasons of him building a life in California. Bobby's late wife and children were important to him, but honoring their relationship shouldn't have been at the expense of the bonds Bobby forged throughout the series. While his first family's death haunted him, Bobby was happy and embracing life to the fullest by Athena's side in 911 Season 8. The pair was even in the midst of building their own forever home, setting up an idyllic future of retirement, grandchildren, and an implied happy ever after that would never materialize. In a way, Bobby's burial in 911 was the first step to Athena moving on, but it felt somewhat apathetic. 911 Season 9 must address this tragic aspect of Bobby's death, thoughtfully. Until then, Bobby's storyline will feel perpetually unresolved. Whether it's how the 118 will honor Bobby's memory with his grave across the country or what Athena's future holds, 911 Season 8 left many unanswered questions for Season 9 to contend with. What's much more imperative, however, is how the first responder drama will resolve Bobby's storyline. Most of Bobby's character development over the years was dedicated to forgiving himself, learning to let go of his guilt, and allowing himself to live when 148 people couldn't. Suicidal ideation was central to the character, but Bobby's death threatens to erase years of his healing if 911 fails to simply acknowledge it. Furthermore, Bobby's suicidal past has been ignored to preserve his heroic sacrifice. 9-1 found family helped Bobby grow through his pain and choose life, only for the captain to imply the near decade he spent in LA was somehow less legitimate than his life in Minnesota. It's one thing for Bobby to die a martyr, it's another matter entirely for 911 to use Bobby's death as a way to rewrite history. Without a character so much as mentioning Bobby's history, his 911 Season 8 death is worse than upsetting. It's an irresponsible abandonment of a pivotal mental health storyline.